Welcome to the Up Arrow Podcast with William Harris, featuring top business leaders sharing strategies and resources to get to the next level. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everyone, I'm William Harris. I'm the founder and CEO of Element and the host of the Up Arrow Podcast, where I feature the best minds in e-commerce to help you scale from 10 million to 100 million and beyond as you up arrow your business and your personal life. I am excited about the guest joining me today, Andy Crestodina. Andy is the co-founder and CMO of Orbit Media, an award-winning 55-person digital agency in Chicago. The business has grown through a 100% content marketing approach. Orbit has generated thousands of leads over 24 years without any advertising. We're going to be talking today about AI for conversion, why you should stop using AI to find efficiencies and instead use it to find deficiencies. Andy, excited to have you here today.
I'm glad to be here, and I love this topic, William. This will be fun.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. I've chatted with a lot of really fun AI people over the last couple of months here. So there's a lot that I think we're going to get into. I do want to give a quick shout out to the people who put us in touch. Nancy Harhut was a recent person on the podcast here. And she's the one who's like, if you haven't had Andy on, you need to have Andy on. I'm like, she's like, do you know him? And I was like, I do know Andy. I've actually been a contributor to some of your content marketing surveys over the years. And I think the first person who put us in touch would have been maybe like 10 years ago, I think was Jason Quay. So thank you, Jason, for putting us in touch all those years ago.
Wow. Yeah. Longtime friend of Jason's. And Nancy, I just love her brain. I've got, you can't quite see it. Her book is right behind me. I'm a big Nancy fan. Mm-hmm.
I have her book right here as well. So I haven't taken it off of my desk yet.
Yep. You and I both. We both have her book within arm's reach. That says a lot.
That says a lot for that book. There's another book that we're going to talk about here in a little bit too. So I'll bring that up. Before I do, I want to announce our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Element. Element is an award-winning advertising agency optimizing e-commerce campaigns around profit. In fact, we've helped 13 of our customers get acquired, with the largest one selling for nearly $800 million and one that IPO'd. You can learn more on our website at element.com, which is spelled ELUMYNT.com. That said, on to the good stuff. Like I said, we're talking about AI for conversion, why we need to stop using it to find efficiencies and start using it to find deficiencies. And so I'm going to start there with the question, which is, what is wrong with the way that we're currently using AI for CRO?
Marketers are using AI in ways that their audience could also use AI.
Sure.
Which is a problem, because if you're just, I'm going to write something, I need a topic, I need a draft, write me an article about how to improve conversion rates for e-commerce product detail pages. Your potential client, your audience, your prospect could just write that same prompt. So it's absolutely the opposite of the things that we should be doing. A lot of marketers are doing the exact thing you shouldn't do, which is race to the middle and write really kind of shallow, undifferentiated stuff. If AI can write it in 10 seconds, with you offering just one simple prompt, your audience can get that same article in 10 seconds with virtually the same prompt. That's the last thing you should write.
That's really good. So how do we fix it? Like, what are the ways that we should be using AI as marketers?
Well, you sort of teased it at the front. I would say that a fantastic use of AI is to look at a body of work. Maybe it's one URL, or maybe it's the whole internet, and tell you what's missing. That's actually something that's very, very difficult for the human brain to do. Like, if you and I just pull up a product detail page and we say, like, what's this missing? What would make this a higher converting page? What key information isn't on this product detail page? Now, maybe we've done decades of e-commerce, and you and I could kind of pull it off or do good enough. But most people, like, that's really hard to do, right? It's kind of hard to say what's not there. AI, it's very easy for AI. So you can give it a product detail page and a quite detailed prompt we can share, and say, like, to what extent does this product detail page meet or not meet these best practices? To what extent does it meet or not meet the expectations of my persona or my audience? You've got to give it your persona. Does this address all the possible objections of an e-commerce shopper? It'll tell you. And then also in a content strategy way, if you ask it, like, what are the most important topics to this persona? Again, give it your persona first, that are not covered on the big blogs.
Yeah,
That is magical, right? Because it'll tell you what's not out there. So instantly. So you could have it find deficiencies at a micro level, just a single page, or at a macro level, this whole corner of the internet. That is a way to make the thing that you're making better instead of just making more kind of medium quality stuff faster.
So it's similar to a gap analysis. I use Ahrefs and they have the gap analysis. Like, how would you compare and contrast what Ahrefs is doing for keyword gap analysis versus from what you just talked about?
Actually, a lot of what you can do with AI is sort of replacement for those tools.
Sure.
Unfortunately, for those developers, and I love Ahrefs. So lots of the prompts that I use are sort of ways to get output from software. It's like the ultimate software tool. Like it's just with the super detailed prompt. They joke, English is the hot new programming language because you're like writing. It feels like you're writing code almost. Like if we get to it, that prompt for auditing product detail pages, it's like a piece of software. It runs like a piece of software, and it writes you the output is a report, even a chart, for example. But the other difference is significant, which is if you train the AI on who your target audience is. So here's an example. Every year I give us a presentation at a conference of college bookstores, independent college bookstores, which is fun, cool, weird niche. And they're very independent people, right? They're kind of rebels. Like they're fighting against the man. They don't want to be Amazon or Barnes and Noble. They want to be like they're speaking of the tribe, and they're part of the tribe. They're the people who go to that college. So if you talk to the AI about your persona. What does this college sophomore love, hate, fear, hope for? What are they insecure about? What do they want most out of their day or out of this backpack or whatever the thing is? It'll talk to you from the perspective of your audience. You can train it on your persona. Ahrefs isn't really doing that.
Sure.
It doesn't know. You're not first. I mean, these are all two-step processes. But step one is in AI is to give it lots of information about the information needs, the objections that must be addressed, the emotional triggers of your target, and then you're talking to the thing that you made. It's like building a synthetic member of your target audience.
Sure.
And then doing gap analysis, way better, I think, because it'll tell you, oh, this person loves the sports team. They care about, how many days to the weekend. They love the Wolfie mascot, whatever. So if you, after you teach it that and you have it write a new draft product detail, a product description, it'll be hilarious. It'll be fun. It'll connect. It'll be emotionally connected. But other tools don't do that as well because they don't know the audience. They can't really emulate or simulate being a member of your audience.
So let's talk practically. You mentioned that we could almost look at how we do this. How are you training the AI to be this synthetic member or this synthetic audience person?
Well, I have very detailed, battle-tested ideal client profiles, and I keep them in a folder on my desktop. And when I'm talking to the AI about something that I'm working on, and by the way, this could be a public-facing article, landing page, call to action, whatever, or it could be an internal document. Like this might be my, a contact calendar, or a positioning statement or whatever, like strategic assets. But I have that folder and I grabbed that ICP. I actually have two ICPs because we offer two things. We do web development and also website optimization. Slightly different information needs. Some people just want SEO. Some people want a new website. They're kind of like different concerns you have to address. But I've found that the best results are when I just make one big doc and I just put it all in there. It doesn't matter that much. I've had clients share with me their personas, and it's like a PowerPoint with 12 pages, 3 pages for each of their 4 personas. That's fine. Just give it the whole thing. That's working for me. If you don't have that, then I have, or we could share, sounds kind of boring, I could read it, but a persona prompt. It's a little cheesy. It's not super rigorous, but in this like little paragraph you give it, it will output a persona that will be mostly correct. You have to fix it. Don't trust it. Tell it what it missed. But at very least, if I'm preparing for a meeting and I want to impress a prospect, I will take a good 20 minutes to prepare for that and do my usual old school, check out the rankings, find low-hanging fruit key phrases, make a list of likely edits or hypotheses for improving traffic. But now I take an extra minute and I, making a bunch of assumptions, I generate a quick persona. I start giving it pages. I talk to it about the differentiation of this brand. I give it samples of the copywriting, and then I have it audit or make recommendations to improve conversion rates. So now in less than half an hour prior to a meeting, I can go to a meeting with a pretty good idea of how I could improve both the cheese and mousetrap, the traffic and conversions for that client. And then everyone got value. They might hire us, they might not, but they can leave the meeting with 6 ways that they could get better results, by Monday.
Yeah, that's good. So, when you're training, let's say that you're going to talk now to this synthetic member, are you basically telling ChatGPT or something like that? It's like, hey, your Bill, your Alexa, your whatever, here's the persona. Like, I want you to respond to me as if you are this person now, but this is who your identity is. And then you start asking it questions, or what does that look like?
Well, to be efficient, I have like a shared prompt library, which I'll probably publish here eventually. And one of the folders in it, or one of the documents in it, is like the persona prompts. So I give it the persona prompt, and then it generates a persona, and then I'll have to go and look closely and correct it, or tell it to deprioritize something or add something. The subsequent prompts are also coming from the shared prompt library. I'm just copying and pasting stuff, and they just reference the persona. Based on the information needs of this persona, take the following article and write 6 draft headlines and 4 draft social posts or whatever. That's not actually my favorite use case. I don't know why I thought of that. But the idea is that these prompts all say, based on the perspective of the persona. My personas in my ICPs are named Alex and Alexa, or Alex and Alexis. And so when I'm doing it for myself, I'll just say, what does Alex think of this? But no, you could 100% say, okay, this is a sales training now. You are the persona. Talk to me from the persona's point of view. Interview me as if you're considering my services. I'm going to respond back, and afterwards give me a scorecard to show me the extent to which I leveraged cognitive biases, or addressed your top underlying concerns. So you could actually in a training tool context just tell it to take on that role. But my prompts are all sort of pre-written, so I just reference the persona instead.
So I do the same for writing copy, a lot of times for ads, where I'm basically saying it's like, okay, referencing this persona now that I've, supplied you with, whether ChatGPT generated or I did, or client did, or whatever. But okay, you have this persona. I want you to write me, 15 different headlines using cognitive behavioral therapy, which I've trained it on, stuff that I've learned from, Nancy, or using mind states, or using whatever. It's like different approaches. And so I've got some really fun names for all the different copy, ad copy bots that I've created and written. But exactly to your point, where it's like, okay, now referencing what you know now about this, give me this. And the output is significantly better than, like you said, if you just came to it and just said like, hey, write 10 headlines. It's like, well, it's not going to understand it well enough.
Yeah, it's and knowing people like Nancy, or I once sat in a session of hers and just took a bunch of notes. My hands hurt after I leave Nancy's sessions. I ended up just turning all of those things that she mentioned, all of those cognitive triggers, and putting them in a prompt, and say, look for opportunities to make this ad, landing page, product detail page, home page, offer, whatever the thing you're making, social post. Look for opportunities to have, that asset incorporate some of these, behavioral psychology phenomena. And it comes, and it's pretty funny. So it's like, the research shows this. AI is a skills leveler. If you're Nancy, AI can make you a little bit smarter, but you already know your stuff. Sure. If you're Andy, and you have not spent a decade researching cognitive biases in marketing, then AI is a big lift. It makes me much smarter. It can make me closer to Nancy faster. Sure. So in that
still
way,
won't make me Nancy, but close.
I'm still. We will never be right, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it will give us some ideas, as if kind of she was sitting on our shoulder.
Hmm. So you also talked about finding what's missing on like a product landing page, and we're kind of getting back to that almost a little bit too. What does that prompt look like? And we can share a screen too. I know that there was like almost like a tool or a prompt or something like that that you had, and maybe it wasn't for this one; it was another one that you had.
Sure.
But how are you finding deficiencies then, and how are you asking it to find what's missing?
Yeah. So the classic prompt would have it give it role and skills. I kind of keep that simple. You are an e-commerce conversion expert, skilled in maximizing the percentage of visitors who add a product to cart. It's like those two things, like that's really prompt engineering 101. But then after that, I'm going to say, the best product detail pages share the following common traits. And then it's like a list. It's like a mini blog post of best practices. Another shout out, Justin Rondeau. He and I trade notes and call each other like neighbors borrowing a cup of sugar. Hey, do you have a prompt for that? Yeah, sure. Here, try this one. So Justin Rondeau, who's like a master of digital, and he was head of growth, I think, for digitalmarketer.com. He's done thousands of A/B tests in his career. He's like, no, I got a lot about product detail pages. Here's my 180-page PowerPoint. Wow. Oh. Thank you, Justin. Perfect. So I sit down one morning and went through the whole thing and converted by hand manually, very time intensive, his 180-page PowerPoint into a prompt. And I am happy to read it to you. Here, or I'll put it on screen.
There's a limit though, too, isn't there? Like you can't copy the whole thing over.
No, it's not that long.
Maybe you're using the API. Okay.
Yep. No, it's not. I mean, I could have given it the whole thing and had it write the prompt. I probably could have, but I wanted to learn myself. So I decided, here we go. Okay. Sharing screen. So here's my shared prompt library. Not fancy at all. These are, prompts for all different use cases. Here's the persona prompt. You're a job title, company size, industry, geography with certain roles, skills, responsibility you need help with. Challenge, problem, task. You're considering a product or service, right? What Element does or what Orbit does. List their hopes and dreams, their fears and concerns, their emotional triggers, and their decision criteria for hiring or even just contacting a potential company like mine. So after, I'd much rather have the detailed ICP that you've kind of vetted, because I've had thousands of conversations with prospects. ChatGPT has not. So this is a cheeseball way to do it. And no matter what it gives me, I'm going to iterate and tell it to fix it, take that out, put this in. You'll see right away. You don't trust anything AI gives you. Never, right? Always look at it critically. Okay, so it has that. So then I'm back in the prompt library, and I'm just popping open my e-commerce prompt folder, or document. This one might be, I don't think this one references the persona. But here you get the whole thing. You are an e-commerce expert skilled in maximizing sales on e-commerce websites. You evaluate product copy, UX, trust, conversion optimization of e-commerce websites. Here's a 15-point checklist of best practices for high converting, highly engaging e-commerce product detail pages. The copy, it's descriptive, differentiated, benefit focused, uses personal pronouns, guarantees, money back, can it be returned, is it in stock, shipping explained. Images, it's high quality, multiple pictures, zoom feature, the product in use, shows the content, shows the product size. That's a common failure of e-commerce websites. You can't tell how big something is. It's got a product video, badges, trust seals, payments, new product, sale, low stock, sustainability, varieties, options, reviews, ratings, star reviews, calls to action. So the way to use this is, I'll just go to some random, what was I looking at the other day? A LED Frisbee. Here we go. Sure. Actually, this product is a problem. I couldn't even see it. Where is this? Something's wrong with that page. LED jump rope. $300. It's got a video. Okay, next step. I'm going to do a full page screenshot of this product detail page. I am not interested.
This is wild.
Yep. That might not be working based on some crazy weird JavaScript that this page has on it. I am not trusting that product. Let's try another one. I'm going to try it just once more if this doesn't work, but you'll get the idea. So what I want this to do, I want a full page screenshot because I wanted to evaluate the. This page is so tall it can't capture it. We should pick a different product.
Sure.
I was looking at a commode. We have some people celebrating their 10-year anniversaries, and so I'm looking for different gifts to buy for them here. How about a giant ceramic grill?
Love it.
Okay, we're gonna cook some stuff. William, you ready? $2,000 grill.
I'm always ready.
Let's try again. Okay, so I'm taking a full page screenshot using a browser plugin called Go Full Page. There's another one called Awesome Screenshot. They are the same. A few issues with this screenshot. I see some collapsed elements, some accordion content. The FAQ stuff is all closed down. I probably should expand these first. Filters, ratings, lots of reviews. Looks like there's a carousel. That's going to be a bit of a problem. We'll just keep it as is. That's fine. Close enough. So now I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to copy and paste this e-commerce prompt. You're an e-commerce expert, skilled at blah, 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 blah. I'm giving you a detailed, I'm just going to take the first part of the prompt, paste it in. And then this bottom part, I'm going to skip right to the second part. Rate the extent to which this page does or does not meet the best practices. Paste that in, grab the full page screenshot. It uploads. Upload. Okay, ready?
This is brilliant. I'm absolutely mesmerized by how you've done this. It's
fast, right? It's very fast.
Yeah.
And it makes, there's some risk that we become a bit lazy because I didn't really even look at the product detail page that closely.
Sure.
So AI, not to make things, but to audit things. AI, not to be efficient, but to find deficiencies. This is a chart showing the extent to which that page did or did not meet the best practices in my prompt. Look, it's a color-coded chart.
Ooh.
It loves the high-quality images. It says that we missed the opportunities to add any kind of trust seals or badges. Not too bad. It gave us a 3 out of 5 on money back guaranteed. Can it be returned? Is it in stock? Probably could do better at that.
Sure.
No. So, and then down below here, it's starting to, we get the details of the audit, right? Like, it's got areas for improvement. It could be more direct and engaging using personal pronouns. It has limited visibility of trust indicators. There's no certifications or badges or of any kind. Shipping, while shipping info is present, clearer details on cost, timelines, international options would enhance transparency. That is often true. So this is obviously a well-made page from a mature e-commerce program. Hey, that was a point of view, and the cost to us was basically zero, and the time we invested in it was under 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to make a wild difference, right? Like if you're just getting started, I think about AI a lot this way, where it's like no matter where you're at, like you said, it's a skills leveler. It can't make us a Nancy. It can't make us an Orbit Media, but it can get us to the point where we can maybe optimize our page well enough that we can afford to work with an Orbit Media, right? Like there are things that you could do to say, okay, great, get to the point where you're actually generating enough income for your business where you can say, okay, now I'm ready to take it to that next level where it's not me running it through ChatGPT, but I'm actually working with professionals who could take this a step further.
Yeah, and I'm a content marketer, and I want to be useful internet citizen and help people, whoever's out there.
Sure.
And only a tiny subset of all possible web projects are a fit for us. I mean, my most experienced clients have gone through maybe 5 or 6 website redesigns in their career, and that's a lot. But people on my team have done hundreds. I've been part of the planning process for like 500 or more website projects. You don't need to, though, have done 500. I mean, to identify the missed opportunities on a URL, any URL, it's just an amazing teaching tool. I love it. I think it's great for this. I'm excited by it. I'm happy to share that. Like I said, I'm likely going to publish my entire prompt library. Why not? It really doesn't cost me anything. It makes other people smarter. It can help us in our marketing by, having a popular post that day or being, get top of mind and word of mouth and those other things that are, by the way, ever more important in the AI era. If you want to differentiate yourself now more than ever, you have to do something bigger and more interesting and more helpful than your competitors. So publishing every prompt, all of my best prompts iterated, in their most recent form, is good for the reader and probably good for us too.
Yeah, I like that. What other ways can we use AI to enhance our e-commerce websites? You'd mentioned thank you pages to me before. Maybe we want to go down that path. But what are some other areas we can use it to find efficiencies or deficiencies?
Yeah, there's I like to create reports in GA4 and upload those to AI and have it do some analysis based on that. Mm-hmm. So one of them is if you go to, you don't even have to use the conversion or key event metric in GA4. If you just go to thank you page visits, go to the pages report, filter, search or filter so that every column is just a thank you. It's just the thank you page visits. And then add as a secondary dimension, you got to click a tiny blue plus, date. And it shows you the date, an hour when every one of those thank you page visits happened. Export that, upload it to AI with a prompt that basically says like, draw me a heat map matrix showing the time of day and day of week when people bought my products. And it will draw a chart showing the time of day and day of week. And if you see that people on Mondays tend not to buy, crank down your ad budget on that day, maybe, where everyone's, contacting us on Thursdays, ramp up your sales response times on Thursdays, like this. I've never seen that chart before, and I never had any value in analytics before by doing date. By adding a secondary dimension, which just puts another column in the report for date, is now suddenly useful because you can export GA4 reports and import them into AI and just do for me a, day of week analysis or month of year analysis. It can, and then whatever it gives you, you can just ask it for ideas. Okay, based on that data, how could I adjust my program? What should I be looking for? So that's an opportunity, I think, for anybody is to just go farther with their GA4 data by exporting it and importing it into ChatGPT.
Big fan of that. We use Power BI at Element, and it's so robust and powerful. And I'm waiting for them to really get ChatGPT fully enabled in there. They've started doing a little bit of stuff there, but it'll get a lot better there. But I still find myself going to my Supermetrics stuff and using Supermetrics, getting all my data from GA4 and Facebook ads and Google ads and Shopify, bringing it all in real quick. And then sending all that data real quickly over into ChatGPT because it can connect to my Google Sheets, and asking it a whole bunch of really interesting queries about the data. It can do a bunch of merges very easily. And to your point, date is literally one of my favorite things, and at least for me, because I feel like I can visually see the trends better. So I like tables. And tables that, we highlight if there are, things that are changing where it's like, this is going up, this is going down, highlight this green, highlight this red. Those are all fine. And it's helpful. And I like that because I like numbers. But there's just something about seeing, a line chart over the last 14 days. You're like, oh, that's when this took place. Or if you're looking at this sometimes, week by week, you might see that maybe, your cost per visit is twice what it used to be. But you find out when you look at a line chart, it was just because of one day. There was one day that just had this astronomically high thing. And so you can see that when you break it down by date, and you miss it if you're breaking it down, some other ways. You're looking at it more in aggregate.
Yeah. That's, I think, the main reason for the line chart is to show you the spike, the blackout, any weird anomaly in the data, because, you could be comparing to, I've done this before. The line chart's kind of visually noisy and it's annoying to me. And sometimes I'll customize a report in GA4 to remove it. But then I'm comparing two URLs, and one of them's like way outperforming the other. But then I realized I think the second one wasn't even live in the first half of this date range. Sure. So you got to go to the line chart to see okay, well, there's zeros for the first 2 weeks in this date range. Yeah. But William, part of what you just said is that you're the Nancy in this situation because you're talking about Supermetrics and Power BI and all those things. I am not. I've never. I was so confused today. I downloaded Tableau. I don't do any of those. I'm basically. I mean, I've done 20 years of analytics, but I'm kind of a hacker with it still, and I'm using it for very specific kind of use cases. So for me, and people like me, the same way that you and I can be a bit more like Nancy and leveraging psychology, I can be a bit more like you, who has, these power tools, and I can just give. It's like, okay, what about, mobile versus desktop for this type of conversion? I'm going to make a quick exploration. I'm going to export that traffic source and landing page by mobile versus desktop.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorites. It's when you combine those three, but you give that to ChatGPT and it'll give you ideas. That one, sometimes it jumps out at you even before you do that. I do this for friends. I'm not a PP. I've never done any paid, as you mentioned at the top, but I love to do analysis on landing page performance. And if you make a GA4 exploration that shows landing pages on the left column and sessions, engagement, conversion rates as the values of the right columns, and filter the whole thing only to show paid, medium exactly matches CPC. Sure. And then add another column. In the column thing, you can add a third column. It's like 3 dimensions in one report. It's 3D, literally 3 dimensions in analytics for device category. And in seconds, people's mouths drop because they realize I'm buying a lot of mobile visitors to a certain landing page with a 0% conversion rate. Look at landing page performance for paid by device type, by device category. And I see, that's like, Andy, I'll call you right back. Like they turn off their, they leave the meeting, and then they go turn off ads from that, from mobile to that page, and save like 50 grand in like 2 minutes. All you have to do is to find that answer. So that's a really, I did a piece about that. We could share just like the step-by-step, how to create a GA4 exploration that shows landing page performance for paid sessions, engagement, and key events per device category. And it's very likely that everyone listening who has a paid program is buying mobile traffic to a page with 0% conversions.
Sure. Any and all of these things that you're mentioning too, these tools, these resources, blog posts, etc., we'll try to link in the show notes as well. We try to be very good about that. So anybody who's listening is like, oh, I want that. I'm trying to Google it and I can't find what I'm looking for, whatever. Let me know if something's missing and we'll try and get it in there, but we'll try to make sure we have that in there.
The $2,000 grill, we'll share that.
the $300 jump rope.
Yeah. We'll link to that in the show notes. Anybody that needs a $300 programmable LED jump rope, you can't take a screenshot of it, but your kids will love it.
Yeah. What about you? You mentioned to me when we were talking before that you have an interesting hobby of collecting Google screenshots. Of screenshots of Google search results.
I do.
Why? How is this helping anything?
Oh man, it's important because when I'm invited to testify in front of Congress about Google's monopolistic power, I'm going to pull those out and show. There's a name for this. Nancy would know. It's called a creeping normality, or there's a landscape amnesia. It's basically when things change very slowly over time, people don't really notice them. It's like the boiling frog, So we did SEO back when there were 10 blue links and search results were 10 blue links, and now it's like a TV/magazine/yellow pages, right? It's like not anything like what it was. And you would never really notice. I mean, sometimes day to day, like the ads got a little bigger, or the video carousel changed. So by taking full page screenshots of search results pages for 10 plus years, I have this post I update it once a year, where you can see side by side the changes over time in Google search results, and just how ranking number one, it's actually sad that SEOs are still so focused on rankings, because ranking is not position. Ranking number one is sometimes like 800 pixels from the top of the viewport. Ranking number one is sort of like ranking where number 8 was before,
Right.
because there's maps and people also ask, and featured snippets and a knowledge panel and AI overviews. So it's obvious looking when you see it all side by side in a series of screenshots why click-through rates from search have gone down. And Rand Fishkin, it talks about the no-click reality, and Ali Patel from Verge talks about Google Zero. There may be a day when almost no traffic. Now, my perspective on that is that really there still is a click-through rate for certain key phrases, the bottom of funnel key phrases, the people who are looking for a service, who need help, behavioral psychology consultant, marketing consultant. I don't know Nancy yet, but I'm trying to find someone like Nancy because I know that I need help here. I'm going to click. I want to read about it. I want to look at options. I want to investigate. I want to read about pages. I want to see people's pictures. I want to read their bios. I want to seek testimonials, or, is this person legit? So I believe that there will still be clicks from for bottom of funnel key phrases, but the hobby, or that little that long-term project of collecting screenshots of search results pages is really interesting. And it's one of those things that just keeps getting more interesting over time.
Yeah. I think, to your point, one of the things we were talking about is that there's a significant change in the way that people are finding information. And let's say not just finding information, but finding products as well. I'm curious a little bit more about your thoughts about what this looks like in the future. And part of this because if I remember, you had a blog post, something along these lines, if I remember correctly. But so I was, let me back up a bit. I was talking with one of the other guys on here, Britton Ladd, and he was mentioning this idea of, in the future, it will be absolutely archaic in his mind for you to actually go to a website because to buy a product, at least for instance, because you would just simply say like, hey, I need a new pair of shoes. And you ask your AI agent, which has been trained on all the things that you like and the price ranges you like and the stores that you like. And it just says, great, here's the best deal for this shoe, which I think you'll like. Do you want me to go ahead and buy it? And you're like, yeah, done. The AI agent will be doing the shopping for you, more or less, right? What do you think about where AI is, I don't know, kind of stealing or moving things away from some of these searches?
Yeah, there's quite a few predictions about that. The famous early one from Gartner is that global search volume will drop by 25%. That prediction you just said, it was like drop by 100% because nobody will go to, you don't have to use the internet the same way. As a user, I think that AI is a fantastic experience and a great way to use the internet because it's super clean, it's fast, it's more lightweight, there's less visual noise, it's more private, it's just a lovely, as it's basically, it ingested the internet and it summarizes the internet and it gives you the answer you wanted. For buying products, there was a great post on CXL once years ago who said that they said there are two kinds of product detail pages. There's the spec-driven buyer who needs details about the performance of the thing or the data behind it. And then there's the visual product buyer, style, aesthetics, like how would it look on me. And there's really two kinds of product detail pages we should be making depending on what our information needs are of our visitor. Is it highly visual or highly data-driven? The visual thing, AI might do that well, but whatever your amazing product pictures are of, the girl wearing the Halloween costume, your website will still be the way that you put that picture on the internet, right? I think that the value of websites may change and that they become more important as feeds into other systems like AI, kind of like Google products, right? Like your website is not just a user's experience. And we all added schema to all of our pages for this reason exactly. It's because we know that our websites are being crawled and that the data is scraped and that the data needs to be reformatted in other users' experiences. So the value of sites will change. The AI bot will be one of your very important visitors, the way that the Google bot is an important visitor for your site now. You'll be doing lots of microformatting and schema and tagging. You'll be thinking about, is this thing optimized? Is my content going to be easy to be reused in other places? But you'll still need to have a home for your, a digital property which is how you have the best control of your brand and all of your information. So I think that people will continue to build out super detailed websites, knowing that the site itself is not necessarily the user's experience.
Sure.
But that also, I don't know, I feel like there's stories and influencers and brand will still matter. I really don't imagine a day when people basically stop browsing completely. That prediction you said is like someone saying humans will no longer browse.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, AM radio is still around. It's an absurd, things don't really go away completely. I'm not saying that websites will be like AM radio, but it's the value of them is changing, but people still do want to click, land, read, feel, hear what that place is all about, and actually have a connection in that and a digital experience.
Yeah, well, and the experience I think is the key word. Taking that a step further, I'd say that it's just the experience just changes. It becomes more immersive. I can't remember the name of the one that Walmart launched earlier this year. I didn't really like it, but I appreciated what they were doing, where it was like this very different, VR shopping experience where it's like you're kind of like there in this world. And I like that. I do appreciate where that's going. Some of the stuff that they're doing right now on, I've got the Apple Vision Pro, and some of the stuff they're doing within that kind of context, I think is very immersive. And so I can imagine where, the AI glasses become better. And what was it? Meta came out with Orion or whatever. Things like that will become actual practical and real. And those experiences will still be there. We want to experience the products. We want to experience what it's like to shop. And like to your point, like I even like to experience shopping. I still go to the store sometimes because I just genuinely enjoy the experience of being at the store. Those experiences will just change and modify a little bit. And you have to at least make sure that what you're doing is set up well for the AI bots to be able to find, access, crawl, understand, want to be a part of what your website is doing as well.
Yeah, and then as marketers, we have to figure out how to train the agents to recommend us and recommend our brand and our content. And that is the big unknown, William. It is. Sure. I had a call just before this, talking to this guy. He's doing research on this. And almost the only way to try to understand like why AI recommends a certain thing or what AI's sources are is to ask the AI itself, which feels a bit meta. I'm not sure how reliable that is. Like, why did you recommend that brand? What were your knowledge sources? Why did you choose those knowledge sources? So, the biggest marketing question of the future will be how to train AI chatbots to recommend your content, your insights, your brand, your people. And it just seems so unstable. Like, does the user have memory turned on? In ChatGPT,
sure.
Do they have memory turned on? What words did they use? Is this? And it's weird to me because it looks like it's ripe for spam, depending on how this goes. Because some of the things that it does will be like, what are the best X in this category, and it just finds one list post and just regurgitates a single list post. So is the game just going to be like do PR, listicles as guest posts, PR style like listicles? Like it's kind of keyword cramming, and I'm a little worried. I don't know what's going to happen.
I think you're right. I think there will be an element of spam that happens the same way that when Google first launched, the ability to spam it was very high, and then it gets better. And I think that you're completely right. Like when this does get more broadly adopted, the spam is going to be high. There are going to be people who figure out ways to hack the system, and then it will get smarter and it will learn over time. But yeah, we're going to go through a period of what the heck is this doing?
I'm really disappointed because if you ask it, like, Chicago, who are the best plumbers in Chicago? It's mostly just grabbing from like one or two directory sites or, a giant list post. That is not, it's a great way to get answers, but to get recommendations for a product, like a trusted product, I don't think it doesn't have, there wasn't a lot of rigor behind.
Sure.
It's not like, Google does 55 things, right? Like your different keyword sets and categories, and these are, your money or your life pages, and these things, these keywords it's looking for trust signals, and it can tell this person here has just information intent, so go ahead and give it simple answers. It's all fun, I guess, and I love working in a very dynamic industry and in a category where things are unclear. I'm fine. I'm a content marketer, so I'm clearly fine with ambiguities and indirect benefits. So
yeah,
it's all TBD.
Yeah. Speaking of content marketing, that is a good time for me to bring up. You actually, the book that you sent me here that I've read, I have the autographed version, by the way. I just need to brag about that real quick here. But it's Content Chemistry, the Illustrated Handbook for Content Marketing. And I've read a good chunk of this. I've had it for maybe a little bit of time here, and I think one of the things that I appreciated the most about your book, unlike a lot of other books, is I wouldn't consider myself necessarily a visual person. I am an auditory person, but this book is so visual. And so I highlighted one of the pages that I really liked here. So I want to show it off, where it's like, if you are a visual person and you're trying to learn content marketing, I mean, this goes through all the stuff, but like you have actual like screenshots and visuals and call outs. It reads almost more like, let's say, I hesitate to say textbook because it has a negative connotation, but it reads like a very good textbook of showing you how and why and all of the different things that go in with this. And like I said, this is way beyond content marketing. When I first got it, I thought it was going to be but you go into all kinds of levels of marketing and how they bridge back into content marketing, which I really appreciated.
Wow, thank you, William. It's you're holding version 7, so we've worked hard at it and rewritten it many, many times. That one is the fresh one you've got. It has the AI prompts and has the GA4 reports. But the original kind of hypothesis was, let's take our best, most detailed, most helpful articles and repurpose them in this format where they all make sense, like it goes in order. Maybe a good time to point out the inherent weirdness of blogs, which is a reverse chronological pile of stuff. Like they're not very organized. Blogs are sort of, come out of this format where things were date driven and it doesn't really make sense, just like these, it's just a bunch of stuff. The book, it's got a table of contents. It's an outline. It's a guide. It takes you through these steps. You can open it to, you can jump to a certain section and, everything in there is kind of prioritized and flows. But the visuals came, the legacy of this book is that much of that content was published first on the web. And the web is an insanely competitive blood sport. It's the Thunderdome of content competition. It's very, you have to be very visual.
Sure.
So those got carried over into the book, and it's a fun read. The downsides, doesn't work as an audiobook.
Sure.
Can't do it, and it doesn't. And even an ebook doesn't really translate.
Yeah. One of the things that you talked about in there, and it's also on your website here too, is that I really appreciated the 7 steps to rank higher using GA4, Google Search Console, and ChatGPT. We chatted about this a little bit by using some of GA4 and stuff like that, but without going through the entire spiel of this, give me a little snippet of what are some of the best ways to use GA4, Google Search Console, ChatGPT to find better rankings.
Oh, there's 2 fantastic use cases. And again, I sort of feel bad because I have friends who have SEO software companies, and this is ChatGPT sort of doing what an SEO software piece can do.
Sure.
One of them is to site-wide. It's like a site-wide thing. It's almost like a scale, SEO at scale. If you export from Google Search Console, a report that has all of your pages, their average position, and their click-through rates. You can, if you give that to ChatGPT, it will tell you which of your pages has lower than expected click-through rates based on its average position. That page should have a higher click-through rate based on its average position. But what it doesn't have is the title tags of each one of those URLs. The title tags are all in GA4. So it's a 2-step process. Sure. If you export from GA4 the pages report with the primary dimension set to title, that's every title tag of everything on your site. Secondary dimension of page path, that's every URL of everything on your website. Upload that to ChatGPT with the Google Search Console report, and it will tell you, it'll look at the title tags, for all of your pages that have lower than expected click-through rates based on their search position, and then recommend higher click-through title tags. What? Like the first time I saw that, I'm like, every one of these suggestions is good. These are all good ideas. Like I missed that opportunity to trigger some, an emotion, or that title tag is like just a little bit too keywordy. There's no real hook, so just as an idea, ChatGPT is a way to do it. You could do it manually. Larry Kim did this years ago without any AI at all. But find the URLs in your website that have a lower than expected click-through rate based upon their average position, as in their rankings, and then go look at those title tags and ask, could I make that title tag more compelling, more interesting, more unexpected? That's just a solid exercise. Again, William, I'm just mostly using ChatGPT to do things I have always done.
Yeah.
The other method is to just do it for a specific page. You just export from Search Console all the queries for a single URL with the average position for each. And then you upload all that to ChatGPT with the article and say, recommend on-page SEO copy edits to 10 sentences on this page to better incorporate the phrases for which it ranks but does not yet rank high. So you give it all, so it has all of the queries and how high you rank, and it has the content, the page itself, full page screenshot or copy paste the text. It's going to come back and just do some basic copy edits to better incorporate those phrases that maybe weren't even on the page at all. Super reliable SEO win, very likely to work well. So that's in better title tags for higher click-through rates, or better on-page SEO, body copy, edits for higher rankings. And really all you're doing is giving it the data and a detailed prompt, and it will come back and make the recommendations for you. One bonus trick there, if you add to the prompt, highlight the changes when it recommends them, it'll highlight the changes, it'll bold them for you. So it's easier to scan through and just say, that one's dumb, that one's great, that one's good. And then make decisions about which of those edits that you agree with and would like to change, and then pop up in WordPress, update, save.
This is literally shaping up to be probably one of the most practically helpful episodes I think I've ever recorded. This is a lot of fun.
Great.
I want to stick with AI for one more question on this then. And I've had the chance of interviewing some other just fantastic AI minds. If you haven't checked out the episode with Noah Kravitz, that's actually NVIDIA's AI podcast host. And so he's interviewing, Jim Fan and all of the best AI minds, like these absolutely brilliant AI creators, if you would. But you recently interviewed 1,000 people about AI doctors, lawyers, etc. Like, are we ready for this? What did you find out from the results of that survey?
That was it was a collaboration with Question Pro. Okay. They build panels in minutes. Like they can get you huge amounts of answers very quickly because they have, their tool is partly like pooling together people from the general population. So collaborating with them is fun. It's like what data can we get from the general population? That would be interesting because you're not talking to marketers, you're not talking to brands, you're talking to just people. So the question was is about AI readiness. It's like, do you want an AI to fly your airplane? Certain people want that, some don't. That's a funny one because because airplanes are largely flown by autopilot.
Right.
Do you want an AI account? Do you want? There were 4 levels of answers for each question. Accounting. I want a 100% human accountant that uses no AI at all. I want a human that checks their work with AI. I want an AI that humans check, or I want a pure AI to do my accounting. So it's a way. So all these questions and all these categories were a way to find out people's general readiness to accept AI in their services, and to what extent. The outcome for marketers is really like, at what point should we start putting AI into our messaging? We build websites. AI is going to write the first draft of all your copy. Wait, what? I'm going to work with humans. Maybe there's not AI readiness in my category.
Sure.
That's just an example. So, but there's a point, depending on the service, where, you're, it's like Wealthfront. Like some people don't want a human financial planner. They want an app. They trust the app. So it's fascinating. Like whatever you feel now, it's likely in 5 years you'll feel differently about an AI doctor, an AI accountant, an AI attorney, like all of those things.
Yeah. I want to run with this for a little bit because I think it's fun. It's something I've thought a lot about as well. The future, let's say AI and robotics in general, because I'm gonna lump them together for a couple of reasons. Because I think AI is going to be incorporated into the robotics and already is more and more. That AI doctor, let's say the AI surgeon, etc. Let's say even say I don't know 50 years from now. I could be wrong a little bit on the numbers, but if I remember correctly, the article that I read suggests that the human hand has 22 degrees of freedom. And the Tesla robot has 19 degrees of freedom. I could be off by a little bit, but it's very, very close to, the dexterity of the human hand. And I'd say 50 years from now, it will probably surpass the dexterity of the human hand. I think it would be very unrealistic for it not to. You'll be able to train that doctor to perform, let's just say, it could have run through simulations of 10,000 open heart cases, more than any open heart surgeon could have ever possibly performed in their lifetime with higher dexterity. Yeah, I think it's almost inevitable. I think the thing that will hold us back in all of these areas, the same thing's going to be true for a plumber as well, right? Like the plumber, it could have seen so much more about plumbing than any master plumber ever could, an electrician, etc. The thing that will hold us back likely will be regulation, because we have a lot of regulation in all of those areas anyways. And it's very hard to maybe shift blame if your human heart surgeon makes a mistake, and it was an understandable mistake, then it's just simply that. It's an understandable mistake. If it was an egregious error, they were drunk while they were doing it, then, we very easily, we cast the blame on them. If it's the robot, I think it gets a little bit trickier.
So interesting. I read a piece once, like the limit of, there's like a practical limit to the height of buildings, super tall buildings. Sure. One of the limits is the human ear. Like elevators just can't go that fast. Like people get uncomfortable. It's not a good experience to go in a insanely fast. They can make them faster, but people don't like that. So I think human readiness, we only want certain levels of technology in our lives. And there's already been massive disruptions in the last, I could count 5 huge technical disruptions in the last 25 years. Big ones, like very big. So yeah, what do people today, if you saw a car without a human in it driving down the street, you might be a bit alarmed, right? Like that looks kind of scary. Like, wait, what's going on? There's no person in that car. 10 years from now, you might see a car with a human driver and think, whoa, I hope that person's paying attention and not distracted by their phone. Like that's a little bit scary. That's a human driving that car.
Totally.
So it's a sociological, psychological change that has to happen before we're ready for more of these technologies in our lives. And we should also just be open to asking. I'm reading currently the Yuval Harari book called Nexus. Wow, really good. You highly recommend it. Yuval Harari.
I haven't started that one yet, but that's on my list.
So good. Wow. I mean, he breaks it down. He's alarmed. He's basically, he believes there's a lot of people who believe in kind of a techno-utopia, and the goal of his book is to give the counterpoint. He's purposely being provocative and a bit of a doomsayer, and he acknowledges that. But yeah, we should have the conversation. Do we want, these things in our lives? Is it a better accountant because they make, their accuracy is higher? Or do you want your radiologist to a human who's seen 2,000 heart scans, or a robot that's seen 2 billion heart scans? Right. Which of these healthcare providers, I almost said doctors, I don't know if they're both doctors, which of these service providers for healthcare are going to give you a better outcome? Yeah. And then what's left, right? Let's say we accept this, and many of these services are augmented by or taken over by algorithms and bots. What's left? My friend Joe Martin, I doubt if you've met him, he said, the last job will be to just make people feel special. The thing that humans can do, right? The bedside manner, that, I don't know if we're going to like the bot for that. Or never say never, maybe we will. I love this conversation, William. It's all TBD, but I think for many services, people will happily accept a cheaper, faster, less error-prone, higher quality service provider. Have you seen the robot sushi waiter?
No.
It's adorable. Like this rolling cart that comes over and it's got like little animated blinking eyes.
Oh, nice.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we want that. I wanted to give a shout out as well to Orbit Media a little bit specifically, because I think there's just some fun things I want to learn from you and just leadership and what you've been able to accomplish that transcends, let's say, even if somebody's an e-commerce owner, they can learn from your leadership and what you've done. You guys have generated, like over 8 million in revenue now. But you said you've never bought an ad. And I think that's interesting because that's what we do is advertising. But I would say for those who are looking at this saying, okay, we're scaling up on ads, we're doing everything we can there, but we're maybe missing something else. What's the something else they're missing that clearly you have found a significant win from that they should start considering?
Well, that's there's a human side tying back to this entire conversation to content and to marketing where there's a story or a point of view that can make a brand and a brand's message very memorable. That really doesn't have much to do with advertising. You can come out for something and against something. You can, it's like, when Nike signed Colin Kaepernick as I don't know anything about sports, but, remember this like big story in the NFL, he kind of like has quiet, sort of peaceful protest. He takes a knee during the national anthem as a message against police brutality. Was that an ad? I don't know. Was it influencer marketing? Like when the sales went up, their market cap went up. So I think that there are human things that happen in the micro scale, like what we do. It's like just having a point of view, having conversations, networking, going to events, giving a little presentation, hosting an event, collaborating with other people like we're doing now. None of these things have anything to do with advertising, but the impact for the listener, for the attendee, or the reader is sometimes high enough that they think of that thing weeks and months later. They talk about it for several days. That doesn't ever really happen with ads, right? That's just not very common. People don't really share ads or subscribe to get more ads. Search for ads.
Sure.
But content marketing
but yes.
There are a few. But content marketing, those are the content marketing channels, right? Search and social and email. Yeah. So if the goal, if it benefits, if you're a very transactional brand, you don't really, you make LED jump ropes and people search for an LED jump rope and they click and they land and they buy. But other things, the more consultative things where trust is higher, I'm going to spend $150,000 on a website, Oh, that company explained once in that interview, like how to find like which landing pages have 0% conversion. I remember I ran that GA4 report and that guy helped me, right? That was a cool trick that, that I talked about or someone told me about, or, people keep telling me I should, reach out to that guy. That's something that is a bit special about content and when possible, like true thought leadership and influencer collaboration and publishing original research. And just being out there, I mean, it's not, there's no out-of-pocket spend, but it takes a huge amount of effort over the long run. But we're one of many examples, actually. Yeah, 8 million in revenue, 55 employees, and I write an article every 2 weeks. I give presentations. I record videos sometimes. And my goal is just to maintain high activity levels and be the most helpful, useful, best resource that I can possibly be to anyone that wants to pay attention for 4 minutes. Here's the thing I made. Maybe it helps. And then in the long run, it really does work. It's amazing. It's a giant act of faith, but it's another way to go to the market.
Yeah. To your point, that's kind of what the Lego movie was. I refer to it as an ad as well, but the Lego was, it was content marketing for Lego. And I tell people that it was also an ad, right? It was an ad for going to buy Legos in the idea that, but it was an ad that you were willing to pay to sit through and watch. So it's like, people do like ads. We like seeing things that are, encouraging us to buy things. You just have to make the right types of ads that people enjoy watching, not interruptive and that you're excited about.
I thought of that movie today. I don't know. I haven't seen it in years. Yeah, like the Will Ferrell at the end, like the micromanager and like it's so clever. That was so good. Yeah, that's another extraordinary case study.
Yeah. The other thing that I really appreciated that you told me is that you're not the CEO of the company you founded, and there's a good reason for why.
Yeah, I'm bad at that. I'm no good at that job, William.
Sure.
I grew up working in restaurants. I'm kind of like a people pleaser. I'm a service industry kid who grew up, from way back. I'm a kind of a teacher. CEO is a hard job, and I respect you and all the founders and non-founders who step into that role. I mean, that's and there's famous cases all over big tech. There's lots of case studies and famous stories about that. But no, I think CEO is a difficult job. It's not necessarily a fun job. It's not a job I'm well suited for. This company's kind of designed so that I don't have a lot of direct reports, and I'm not. It's disruptive. When I show up in a meeting and give people things to do, like how does it, they all have jobs. I mean, Orbit is a very well-run business with careful management and directors and accountability and utilization and capacity and reporting. And to predictably succeed on web development projects, which are pretty complex, right? There's lots of requirements. It needs a lot of structure. And I'm a bit too chaotic to be a good cog in that machine.
It's fair to recognize, I appreciate that it's like recognizing where your skill sets are and aren't, and calling it out that it's like, it is a job. It should have a job description. And if that's not the job description that you want to have, like you said, find the person that is what they are excited about doing, because there are people that like that. I have a great COO, president of my company or whatever. That is not my thing. It is not my calling. It is not something that I find joy in. It robs me and sucks everything that I could possibly think is good out of it. But I am glad that there are people who would find joy and can do that very well.
You don't find joy in that either?
No.
It's hard. I think that there are startup people who just assume that their business will grow and scale and they're going to crush their goals and that they're going to run the whole place. Mm-hmm. Like, is that really what you want to do anyway? Like, is it, right. Our CEO reads every agreement. I mean, runs the finances. Like, he's the ultimate accountability kind of person, I like to, if I'm on a call with someone and they want to do any of the things that we talked about, I can just start doing it.
Sure.
Hey, there's a problem in these things aren't set up yet in GA4. I'm going to fix it. So then if I go do everything right away when I see it and want to tackle it and get an outcome immediately, let's fix this page. Let's publish that post. Let's record that video. Let's finish setting up GA4. That doesn't scale at all. That's right. Not a process. There's not a plan B. You can't grow that way. Like, that's just like, just like the Lone Ranger, trying to get outcomes and moving fast. That's not a business, really. Businesses have structure. They have, plans and backup plans to predictably succeed on a project every time. I mean, you have to, you need a lot of pieces in place, and it's not always good to just immediately jump in and start doing everything right away. That's not how a company works. At least that's what they tell me.
Yeah. Well, I want to get to know Andy Crestodina a little bit more. And I think that's a good place to kind of transition to this, because you talked about teaching is something that you are very good at and you enjoy doing. And from what I understand, your early career took you full circle. So tell me about, you wanted to be a teacher, but you've come full circle from that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was going to be, I majored in a foreign language and then graduated and realized I didn't really know it well enough. So I had to go to the country and finish learning. So I did a semester in Beijing University, finally, getting fluent in Mandarin. And my plan was to go back to Iowa, where I went to college. You and I are both longtime Midwest. Mm-hmm. But there were only two colleges. This is the mid 90s. There were only two high schools in Iowa that taught Mandarin. And I thought I did not want to graduate and travel and then immediately go live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa and teach Mandarin at a high school. So, well, I'd already been teaching when I was in China. I taught at ESL. I was like an English teacher.
Cool.
So I came back and got a job, and it was a recruiting job. But the internet was super interesting, and I wanted to combine creative things and technical things, build websites. I want to be a web designer. No one's going to hire me to be a web designer. I have no skills, so it's easier to start a company than to find a job. That's weird, but it's true. Someone hiring you for a project is taking a smaller risk than someone hiring you for a full-time job. So started a company. Actually, I joined with my friend Barrett, who'd already been doing it. And that was January of 2000. And then that one fell apart a little bit. Started this company in April of 2001. And then, had to figure out search. Been an SEO just that long. Had to figure out analytics. Been an analytics person just that long. And then when blogging and email and social and influencers and video all come together, 2007, I jumped in on I'm a content marketer now. And then realized sort of ironically, well, I'm actually a teacher after all, because I'm constantly, it's like in 2 weeks, I'll be at Marketing Profs in Boston doing a 7-hour AI workshop.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I did last week, I was in San Diego for Content Marketing World. I did a 4-hour GA4 workshop. I like the long form ones when I can have the opportunity, but I teach lots of sessions. I mean, the videos and the book, like you said, textbook. It is like curriculum development. It is like lesson plans. It is about learning outcomes. I actually do teach a class at Northwestern University, a content strategy course. I also teach a class in Spain every year, which is fun. I go to Spain for 2 weeks a year and teach a master class there. So I love it. I mean, it's you get to see those light bulb moments and people realize oh, wow, I can totally do that, or that really worked, or, this makes sense.
You mentioned Mandarin. You collect Google screenshots of Google search results. I collect languages, so not very well, but here we go. Ni hao ma.
我很好.
谢谢.
真的,
You're already going to go past me.
Yeah.
We're going to stop it there before I look dumb.
Yeah. 我没想到你会说汉语. That's like, I didn't know you can speak Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of phrases. That's about it. My brother actually lived in Shanghai for a couple of years. I wanted to learn and try and study a little bit there.
Did you go?
I did. We took the family there. My kids were young then at the time. I want to say it was like 6, 3, and maybe 6 months old or something. Really little. But it was a lot of fun and a lot of walking. We really enjoyed just going around seeing everything.
That's an amazing place to visit. It's like vast, right? Like the world is bigger than it seems.
That's the thing. You can't say that you visited China and just cross it off your list. You're like, I saw such a small amount of China and there's so much more that I want to get back and see sometime.
William, that's true of everything. I mean, I know people who are like, I've been to 50 countries. Well, I've lived in Chicago for 25 years and I haven't been to, even 1% of the restaurants.
Sure.
And even those restaurants, I haven't tried even 5% of the menu items. I mean, there's no way to come close to seeing anything.
Totally.
So, it's a slice of life. Just stay out there and enjoy one meal to the next.
We were talking the other day about phrases that we live by, right? Like sayings that we say over and over again. And the one that you told me that I really appreciated here was the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. What do you love about this? Why is that a phrase that you live by?
Well, I think it's a Chinese, the way I heard it, it was a Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So I'm kind of an environmental alarmist and I've planted tons of trees in my neighborhood and that's cool. I don't really ask permission. I just dig a hole and plant trees using my bike and buying trees at garden shops and they're all over. And it's amazing to see these little guys start to get big, and to go sit in the shade of a tree you planted. What a great day. But it actually has meaning beyond that, I think, obviously not just about trees because whatever the skill, we've talked about, product detail page optimization. We've talked about GA4 reporting. We've talked about AI for audience research and for audits. We've all the things. if any of those to any listener sounded like something new or something difficult or something interesting, today's a great day to stretch your legs and experiment with a new channel or try a new skill or test out some prompts. It is an amazing time to be doing what we're doing. We are recording this in sort of late 2024. What an amazing time to be around and doing what we're all doing. We are on the bridge. We will all look back and say that other stuff was in the early days, and now we're in this new era. And it's plenty of time to become a leading expert in any of these things, if that's a goal of yours. So yeah, it was, 20 years ago was a great time to start doing digital, but second best time is right now. Let's do this. It's totally accessible to anyone who is interested.
I think that's brilliantly worded. A lot of people don't realize just how small e-commerce actually still is. In terms of the amount that e-commerce makes up of total retail sales in the US is only maybe around 17%, I think, right now.
Really?
Yeah. In China, it's like closer to 80, 85%, but it's about 17% of sales of total retail sales. And it's growing, I think I'm going up and to the right now if I go backwards for you, but it's growing like this exponentially. But it's still so small. And so to your point, even let's say getting into AI 20 years from now, like you're going to be light years ahead of anybody in AI, but even getting into e-commerce in general, you're still at the very beginning of where this is going to be 20 years from now.
There are so many niches. It's amazing just how many areas that are still not yet mature, how many categories. Like I'm an SEO, right? So doing keyword research, there are blue oceans everywhere. Sure. There are, and with AI, it's like a giant newly discovered continent. There are all kinds of opportunities to start, a little store, to launch a new product. I mentioned about buying these 10-year gifts. I have a bunch of employees celebrating their 10-year anniversary. So each one, we buy 10 gifts. That's how I came across this like LED jump ropes and Frisbees. I literally just assumed that there was such a thing as a giant glow-in-the-dark Frisbee. Made it up. Looked for it. Wow. This company looks like not surprised that this is, that it's right there. There are just entire categories being invented every day. It's a really exciting time. And if, you don't want to, jump in with both feet and you like the stability of having a day job and don't want to, all the chaos of founding a new business, no problem. But in whatever your role is, there's still some little entrepreneurial opportunities for anybody that decides to take a bit of a leadership role on their team or like try these new things with these prompts, or be the one who steps up and finds answers in GA4 and brings them to the meeting, or figures out how to connect it all to Power BI. Ask William, he'll help. It's actually almost overwhelming how many opportunities are in front of each of us at this moment.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Andy, it has been absolutely amazing talking to you today, learning from you, hearing about you, about who you are, even as a person. And I appreciate that you're planting trees without permission and just getting out there. If people wanted to follow you and work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
LinkedIn is my best network. There's a setting where you can change the blue button to say follow, but you don't need to click the blue follow button. There's like 3 dots, and then there's a menu that says connect. If you want to chat with me, just go to connect and connect with me. And you could reference this, but I'll accept anyway. Orbitmedia.com. That's what we do. Orbitmedia.com. I write an article once every 2 weeks. So that's the newsletter there.
Cool.
Other than that, I don't know. I'm at events. I'm in Chicago. If anyone's in Chicago and wants to connect, there's like a monthly happy hour I'll invite you to. I like the offline. I like the face-to-face. That's always fun. But I think LinkedIn's a great place to start. And I appreciate it. And the book, which you were very generous at mentioning, is on Amazon, Content Chemistry, the 7th edition. Look for V7. That's the new one.
Yeah. Yeah, in the newsletter, I think you've got over 250,000 subscribers now. It is a very worthwhile newsletter to anybody that's looking to find more information. Again, Andy, absolutely amazing talking to you. Thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today.
Great conversation. Thank you, William. This was fantastic. I love this.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Up Arrow Podcast with William Harris. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.